Monday night sport just got a whole lot better. Bulls and all are back for a new winter season on 3WBC. Join Fletch Fraser, Stuart Grattan and myself, Gemma Hooper, who will bring you sporting news from all across Australia and right here in Whitehorse, Boroondara. For all things sport with Bulls and all, tune in on Monday nights from 6 p.m. on 94.1 FM 3WBC. We are now joined by Paul Flynn, who is the Nunawading Spectres Basketball Operations Manager. Thank you so much for joining us, Paul. How are you this evening?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
And obviously it's sort of getting towards the pointy end in the NBL 1 season. How are some of the sides at the Nunawading Spectres going at the moment?
Yeah, look, it's been a really tough NBL 1 South season in 2024. The talent in our conference is at a level that we probably haven't seen in recent years, particularly since we've come back from our COVID lockdown year. But look, the men are progressing well. They're sort of middle of the table. They had a bit of a tough weekend versus Mount Gambier and Knox. The women's side this year, it's been a bit of a development year. We probably didn't pump as much of an importance into bringing in star WNBL talent, and really sort of just focused on it being a year where we give some of our up-and-coming juniors an opportunity to get their teeth stuck into some senior basketball and develop from there.
And we know that you've had experience at Nunawading for over 9 years, and you've also been the women's head coach as well in the NBL 1. Particularly for your experience being head coach and then moving to operations manager, what have you seen the changes be like over the past 9 years?
Oh, look, I think it's just, there hasn't been a huge amount of change as such. Nunawading's always been a really good program, a really strong program, from its foundation through to its senior programming in producing and nurturing talent. So for us, it's about presenting our homegrown locals an opportunity to get some exposure at senior level. Hopefully that propels them onto opportunities that are outside the four walls that Nunawading can provide, whether that be a college pathway over in the US or into the professional ranks. We've obviously got a lot of talent that plays in the WNBL now here in Australia, and then also some really good representation over in America with the WNBA and Rebecca Allen and Alana Smith.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for joining us this evening. I just wanted to ask you about the juniors, I suppose, because you have a lot of juniors down to about under 8s. Yes. And the sport of basketball, of course, is growing in Australia quite a bit at the moment. So from when you started to now, how much have you seen in terms of the development of the junior side of things?
Oh, look, I mean, it's a ever evolving sort of space there. I think what we see with our junior talent is that our young athletes come in and their skill set, they're capable of performing things that you probably didn't see in juniors yesteryear. And that's because they've got far more exposure to high-end basketball talent. Obviously, with basketball being easily accessible to watch, not just on TV, but the highlight on YouTube and social media and those sort of things, but also just the tangible product in front of them. And that's what's been really good about having, the NBL 1 South sort of come in over the last, 4 or 5 years, is that our juniors have, within touching distance, some really good role models that they can model their game off and go out and work with. And they're human and they're relatable and they're accessible for them during the camps that we run and the development programs that we run. And there's just that really good community aspect from top to bottom. So, we're seeing some incredible talent. I know, like in our junior program at the moment, we've got a couple of girls that are part of the under-16 Vic Metro side. We've got 5 of our under-16 boys in the Vic Metro side that will contest national championships these holidays. And we had a good contingent of girls in the under-18 Vic Metro side as well. So, they're doing really well at local level, and it's nice to see them be able to step forward with confidence onto a bigger stage and be able to perform there too.
And you were also the head of basketball at the Forest Hill College Basketball Academy. What does that role sort of entail, and how long has that program been around for?
Yeah, so that program's been in for about 6 years now. So we were approached by Forest Hill a little while ago. They were setting up some sports academy programs. And so that is a program that we deliver as Nunawading Basketball within the Forest Hill College setup. Essentially what we do there is we offer an elite academy program centered around individual development. It's not set with KPIs about winning trophies or tournaments or anything like that. Our point of difference is we really want to hone into individual skill development and just fill the gaps that some of our junior athletes probably don't have the time afforded to during their week, just purely through accessibility and time management and, their ability to, continue to be, teenagers. So lots of individual skill development with ball in hand, lots of strength and conditioning, lots of athletic development in terms of acceleration, agility, and plyometric work, just so that they can go back into their club environment and confident that they can perform at their peak ability.
Working with young kids as well, do you often find that some are really striving to be the next Josh Giddey or Caitlin Clark, and how do you sort of help manage those goals and aspirations, particularly with kids at Forest Hill?
Yeah, look, I think it's an interesting space. I mean, the beautiful thing about the area that we work in is the sky's the limit for a lot of these kids. And it's not for us to sort of tell them that, that's an unrealistic dream or anything like that, because, it's been proven, particularly over the last sort of decade, that those sort of goals are very much achievable if you knuckle down and put the work in. And obviously there needs to be, some good genetics in there as well. But, the talent level of Australian junior basketball at the moment is at an all-time high. It's about putting them in situations where they can perform, but also just giving them the tools, the skill sets that support what their natural ability is, but also, the IQ to go with, their fundamental skills that's going to allow them to read the game and put themselves in a really good position to shine.
Both the men and women this Wednesday are going to be playing the Ringwood Hawks at Norwood Secondary College. So when you look at, I'll go from a women's perspective. When you look at Ringwood, what is it about them that makes them a difficult side to come up against?
Yeah, look, Ringwood's a fairly balanced roster. They've got a couple of really good imports. They've brought Diggy back, who's their European import from a couple of years ago when they were NBL 1 South champions. She unfortunately had a knee injury last season, so wasn't able to come back, but has definitely been a big performer for them. She understands the league. She's got really good European experience offshore, so she can step up in the big games that they really need. They've also brought in an import from the Philippines this year, and she has been just a sensational pickup for them. Gives them a really good post presence and some size, does a fantastic job on the rebounding front for them. So for us, it's about, making sure that, we can put them in a position where they have to guard a lot of actions. We probably put them in some scenarios that probably scramble their defensive rules a little bit more than what they'd like. And if we do those sort of things, then we'll be in pretty good shape.
So just quickly, just before we let you go as well, I wanted to ask you about becoming the head coach of Mainland Poetai over in New Zealand. That's a competition that will be starting in October later this year. So how'd you come across that role, and what was it about it? What about it was so appealing to you?
So look, that's going to be a fun new challenge for me, and sort of in the prep mode for that at the moment in terms of building a roster. The way it came about was I was the lead assistant at the Melbourne Boomers with Guy Malloy for 5 years. Guy Malloy at the time also shared a dual role of being the national team head coach for New Zealand in the Tall Ferns program there. And so he's been coaching over in New Zealand a little bit. He's coaching on the men's side of things at the moment, down with the Southland Sharks. He shot me a message probably October, November last year and said there's potentially a team looking for a head coach in the Women's League. What are your thoughts? And obviously came home, floated that idea with Sarah, who's my wife, and I've got 3 young kids, which obviously factor into that decision process a little bit. But look, they were fully supportive of it, which was great. So threw my hat in the ring there and had a couple of conversations with them. And fortunately for me, was the preferred candidate for that role. And there's just a lot of exciting stuff happening over in New Zealand in regards to their basketball at the moment. It's a league that is heavily backed by Sky Sports. They've just changed where that season sits in terms of the calendar, so it'll start in October and run through to just prior to Christmas. It's a short season as far as professional leagues go, but as I said, very well backed by Sky Sports as the major broadcaster, and just some really good resources to work with. And it's a growing league. It's a league that's full of energy and excitement, and really keen to get over there and land in Christchurch and start working with that Paul Kai group, and hopefully we can do some special things.
Well, thank you so much, Paul, for your time this evening on Balls and All. It was great to talk to you, and all the best moving forward.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me. Happy to chat hoops whenever.
And Paul Flynn joining us there on Balls and All. We're going to head to a short break and have more of the program right after this.